Spiritual Living Leesburg. Our theme for the year of 2023 is Living Out Loud. And for the month of September, just this Sunday is all we have left, our theme is Love Out Loud. The title of our talk today is Love Wins, and it will be given by our wonderful spiritual director, Charlene Banks. We are so glad that you joined us here today. If you have any comments or prayer concerns or celebrations, please feel free to put them in the comments section, and we will include them later when we do our prayer, which we call spiritual mind treatment. And it's a form of affirmative prayer. If you've never heard it, stay tuned. It's amazing. So, like I said, we're just so glad that you joined us here today. Settle in, relax, and enjoy our welcoming video. Please join us as we create our sacred space. We set our intentions of deepening into our awareness and practice of our 5 pillars of spiritual living by lighting this candle in our virtual world. Our first pillar is sacred study, represented by the divine quality of truth. We use this pillar to recognize the importance of an open mind and the power of our minds. The second pillar is affirmative prayer, represented by the divine quality power. This pillar honors the power of prayer in our daily lives. Our third pillar is meditation and the divine quality of peace. This pillar reminds us of the importance of meditation and the peace we feel when we quiet our minds. The fourth pillar is circulation and the divine quality of life. We know that the great law of circulation works in our lives. As we give, so shall we receive. And the fifth pillar is sacred service and the divine quality of love. This pillar affirms our call to be a service to our world as we see through the eyes of love. Let us close our eyes as we bless this sacred space and our time together. As we weave each of these pillars of spiritual living into our service today, may they deepen our own spiritual practices of study, prayer, meditation, circulation, and service, expanding our minds and our hearts to the 5 divine qualities of truth, power, peace, life, and love. We also bless everyone who made our service possible today and everyone in attendance. May the energy of love that is generated here bless everyone abundantly, and so it is. Okay, and now it's time for our meditation. So keeping with the theme, Love Wins, let's begin by taking a deep breath in and hold it and exhale. Relax your shoulders, your neck muscles. Take a deep breath in. Hold it and exhale. So love wins. That's what I picked for the theme of our meditation today. It seems appropriate. And I'm going to challenge you to take a little journey through your memories and think back to as early as you can go in your childhood to a time when love wins. What was that moment that you can call up, that precious sacred memory? Was it a warm blanket wrapped around you? Was it splashing, playing in the bathtub as your mother or father gently washes your hair, hands you a bath toy? Was it playing with early childhood friends? Maybe on a playground, maybe in your home. You just feel so safe. and so secure and so loved. Now journey a little bit further in your timeline to a time where you're getting a bit older. And let's visit those tumultuous teen years. But we're not going to think about anything that was rough or challenging for you. I want you to recall a time when love wins. You made a new friend. You discovered love for the first time. Oh my gosh, what an amazing time in life. You're acquiring new skills, new talents. You're building self-confidence. And through it all, pick a memory where love wins. All right, let's further a little along in your timeline. And I know we have viewers of different ages, so let's just go to your young adulthood years. Again, so many challenges, but now you're leaving the nest, right? And you're going forth and you're making new discoveries, reaching for your dreams. And think of a time when it was right. Things were really going your way. And you felt so blessed and so supported. And you realized, yeah, this is it. Love wins. And if you're like me, you can keep going on your timeline. Like I said, not all of our viewers have reached middle age. And if you haven't, think back to another time of your early adulthood. For those of you who can go on like me, think of a time midlife where you face some challenges. And in the end, when all the dust settled, you realized, I'm okay, I made it through. Love wins. Love wins in the end. This week I was talking to my students about the hero's journey, and I was sharing with them a little piece of, being an English teacher, telling them about what a hero's journey is in literature. But I said to them too, you're on your own hero's journey. You're going to face challenges, just like Luke Skywalker, right? But in the end, you're going to realize that you have more skills, more talents, more wisdom, more self-confidence because you made it through. You are your own hero on your own hero's journey. And remember, love wins. All right. Because we have wonderful music waiting for us and a fantastic message, let's take just a deep breath. Hold and exhale and wiggle your toes. And I hear her, she's ready. Let's listen to some wonderful music by Leah.
Thank you so much, Tamara. We'll keep the guitar vibes flowing. I know everybody knows this song, so please sing with me. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. It's easy. There's nothing you can make that can't be made. And no one you can save who can't be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's easy. All you need is love. Da, 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 da. All you need is love. Mm-hmm. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. There's nothing you can know that isn't known, and nothing you can see that isn't shown. Nowhere you can be that isn't where you were meant to be. It's easy. Oh, all you need is love. La, 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 la. All you need is love. Love, 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 love. All that we need is love, love, love. Love is all I need. Love is all you need. Oh, I know it's so. Love is all we need.
That was amazing. Thank you. Love is all we need. It's so great that you played that song. I have a quote that says from John Lennon, love is the answer. So what was the question? Love is all we need. Thank you, Tamara, for taking us back through time, because through that journey in the meditation, we realize we've always been loved. And even if it didn't look like the picture of love that we're given on the TV commercials, sometimes the love comes as some tough love. You know, the one time, I remember that one time I had just bought a home. I was 20 years old, bought my first house, and I made the mortgage payments, and 1 month I didn't. And my parents helped me. They were great about it. The next month, they said, well, so you're on your own. And I thought, it's not loving. And then I said, oh, as I look back, I said, that's the most loving thing they could have done, to let me stand on my own. There's something about when people love you and they look at you and they believe in you. They don't have the answer either, but they believe you've got this. You know, they believe it when they look at you and they have that look. And I remember my parents were doing that. And at the time I was just like, And I now see how much they really believed in me. And that sometimes when we run to help somebody, even before they ask for it, we're kind of communicating, telegraphing, oh, I don't really believe you have this. I don't really believe in you. But when we stand back and lovingly support them from a distance, knowing they have this, something in them rises to meet that expectation. And then they move forward with confidence. I feel like this is what Tamara does when she pours into her students, when she talks to them about the hero's journey. Because it's true, there is something in each of our lives that will rise up and will challenge us. And just like those cartoons where there's a good guy on the left ear and a bad guy on the right ear whispering, well, you could do it this way. And the other one says, I don't know, that's not quite legal. You could get busted and then we're in jail. And the other side, only if you get caught. So you have this argument going on, two sides of us. And what I believe love wins boils down to is that voice of conscious awareness of the right thing to do. That is what wins. That's what wins. It's that sense of connectedness to the bigger picture. It's that sense of, I am not going to just grab all the good and hoard it for myself. I'm going to share the good because it feels better. That's the love in us that's trying to express itself in every situation. And it's tempting to take a shortcut. And I believe every time we distract ourselves, every time we choose not to sit down, be quiet, and listen, it's just us trying not to act like we know. We don't want to really know, because then we'll be responsible for what we know, and then we'll have to show up differently. We'd rather just pretend it's not there and just do what we feel like doing in the moment. And as we know, over time, habits that were created in order to avoid ourselves are now the new problem that we have. Any problem we tried to avoid by being busy doing something else, now that something else takes over, and like an untended garden, just chokes out all the good. So we just stay vigilant and stay grateful and just connect to ourselves, connecting to ourselves, which really is connecting to the divine, because there is no separation. We are the divine. And when we connect to the divine in ourselves, we realize that everyone else has that in them too. Ernest Holmes says, in the Science of Mind, he says, the world is beginning to realize that it has learned all it should through suffering and pain. Surely there can be no intelligence in the universe that wishes us to be sick, that wishes us to suffer pain, that wishes us to be unhappy and end in oblivion. Surely if God or universal intelligence or source, if whatever you call it, if that energy is imbued with goodness, then it could not ordain that we should be ultimately anything other than goodness, anything other than a perfect expression of life, anything other than love. So although we do have those things that appear in front of us that appear so different from what love is, now we ask ourselves, what's being called forth? What am I being called to give in this moment, in this situation? How am I to be a blessing here? Instead of arriving at, well, what can I get? What's in this for me? Why should I be nice? I don't have to. Instead of that approach, which is, I don't know, it's not going to bring people closer to us when we're acting that way. If instead we show up and we see some situation that it looks like the opposite of all the love and the intelligence and all the goodness in the world, we show up in that situation and we say, ooh, how can I be a blessing? How can I help? The little stories come back to my mind as I was reading about in the World Trade Center when people were trying to evacuate and had to come down, tons of stories with people in wheelchairs being carried and people just trying to get out. Not only were they behaving in an orderly fashion, but there were some who took it upon themselves to douse paper towels with water and give them to people so they could cover their mouths and breathe without ingesting all of the fumes. And there were so many stories of people helping that yes, it was terrible, but remembering the fact that when we show up in a situation that is so-called terrible, how can we serve? How can we be a blessing in this moment? Because we've already realized we're here for a reason. How can I help? So this weekend is actually another high holy day. It's one of the highest holy days in the Jewish tradition. Yom Kippur, September 24th and 25th, according to my notes. Hopefully I don't have that wrong. But it's known as the Day of Atonement, the holiest day of the year if you're Jewish. The central themes there are of atonement and repentance. So if we think about that, initially on its surface, we're like atonement and repentance. Well, think about this. The Jewish tradition is to observe this holy day during a 25-hour period of fasting. Just hold that for a moment. 25. I'm not talking about intermittent fasting where you don't eat for so many hours and then you limit your eating to a 6-hour window. We're talking no food. I don't know if they're allowed to drink water, but 25 hours of fasting, and not only the fasting, but intensive prayer. This period is supposed to bring a human into its alignment with the bigger picture, to bring the body under submission, as it were, and to open up the soul to be able to pour in more of the divine energy. Now, I don't know about that tradition. I wasn't raised in that tradition, but I could see how that could work to bring people into a space of sitting down or being still. Now, I don't know if we have to sit down, but being still, stopping all of our actions and all of our words that we just talk, being still, shutting up and listening and praying and communing with the divine. And to do that, I would think that after any period, especially a 25-hour period, one would arise with a bigger sense of one's connection to the divine. One writer, Sarah Debbie Gutfreund, says, think of Yom Kippur as a lookout on the top of a mountain that you've been climbing all year. See your days and their moments spread out before you. Be willing to look now at the big picture of your life, your ultimate goals, your beliefs. See each person in your life as part of that picture. And then ask yourself, what lesson have they taught you? Even if you had to learn it the hard way through pain, what lesson have they taught you? What message is the divine sending you by putting this person in your life? Now, all right, so here's my thinking about this. If I've sat for 25 hours, I was praying and fasting, and then I took that mountain high view of my life, it would be really, really hard to hold any individual person in contempt. It would be hard not to just love them, because I would see each and every experience as a gift on my journey of unfolding. And as I look at these people, I would think, of course you had to come and be who you are in my life at that moment, because then, and see, I would begin to see the gifts that other people have given me, even in their worst day, even in their worst moment. Something was triggered in me, something in me used that experience to climb higher. Like that donkey that was in the hole in the well, and the farmer kept shoveling dirt on it, and the donkey kept using it to rise up. I imagine that's one method I could use to really start to appreciate everything and everyone in my life. And then think about yourself. How would that change you? Seeing the people who are so-called bad guys in your life. If you saw them differently, how would it change your countenance? How would it change how you move about the world if there was no enemy, if there was no other, if there was not the man keeping you down, right? How would we behave? These are great questions, because as it comes down to it, when we begin here at home and then move out into the world with a sense of love, doesn't everything sort of change around us? So Ernest Holmes in Science of Mind also mentions that the only thing that can bring love joy, peace, and prosperity to the world is a direct experience of the divine, a direct experience. We must sense the immediate presence of life. With simplicity and directness, he says, we must sense that the spirit is at the center of our own lives. We must learn to recognize that it is at the center of all people. And I would extend that to all beings. So think about this, the only thing that can bring love, joy, peace, and prosperity to the world is a direct experience in me. And then I realized that that is also there within you. That makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense because we learn love begins at home, right? You change the world, you have to change yourself. These are the things we tell ourselves, and it's all cute, pithy phrases, but bottom line, where else is it going to come from, if not from within? So we have that, just the beautiful notion that once we connect with our source, that source is the source of all around us, then we move and act differently in the world with love. And then as we're moving through our lives, we have this hero story going on in our minds and in our lives. We can ask ourselves, what's being called forth in me? This is where our practice comes in. Because if we can sit each day with some intention on listening to what is being called forth, then we can spend time on that. And then when we do binge watch, whatever it is, or doom scroll the internet, we can at least bring a certain consciousness to it. We can, instead of just being consumers of content with no thought, we can start to shape what it is that is coming at us. Because here's the other thing. When we create, it's not linear. And I'm going to summarize this one teaching from, what's the man's name? The book is on my shelf. He wrote Power versus Force, my favorite book. It's coming, it's in my brain. He talked about energy. And the highest calibration, the highest, purest form of transformational energy is love. And he marked that at like a 600. And using tools, there's a whole thing to it. I won't get into the science, but calibrated energy from the feeling, the energy of love at the highest it could be at 600, all the way down to its counter opposite, which is fear, on all the way the other end of the spectrum. And everything in between, you have different emotions. Some of them are more toward love on the positive end, and some are more towards the negative end. But this key thing that he mentions, it's what blows my mind, that we don't create in a linear fashion. We create in a holistic fashion. So let's think about this. Now, if we say love is love and love out loud, a lot of times what we're thinking about is those who want to express love in a way that is not culturally the norm. For example, they might be on some on the spectrum of not necessarily heterosexual. They may be bisexual, pansexual. They may be gay, lesbian, or anything in between. Now, that kind of love traditionally has been told to shh, go away, like that, because that's not the kind of love that we all are going to be comfortable with. And so for years, for decades, for millennia, probably, I don't know, many of us have been shamed or shunned or kept from just expressing whatever love looks like in this moment. But in 2015, the Supreme Court said, oh, you know what, let's go ahead and allow it. We'll go ahead and make same-sex marriage legal all across the land. Now, did that just happen? Was it a linear progression? It might look like that. But what the author of this book talks, I'm so distracted by the fact that I can't remember the man's name. So I'll just pull it up here. Power versus Force. Who are you, sir? All right, David Hawkins, thank you. I could not let that pass. I had to get it. David Hawkins says that because this need had arisen, that the answer was there. Whenever the question arises, it's because there's an answer. Whenever the problem, so-called problem, rises up to be addressed, it's because the answer exists. It's because the solution is also present. And then, yes, we're human beings, and we are, if we're not mystics, we can't really see that because we have the question, because we have the issue, that the answer's at hand. Because we're humans and just normal people moving through a three-dimensional world, we think that there's a linear progression needed along with time to get to the solution. But David Hawkins sort of proposes this, that when there's a problem that comes onto this planet, there is also the answer, but some of us who cannot see it will remain vexed, troubled, and in fear about what might happen. And what we can't see is that it's already moving toward its solution. If it wasn't, we wouldn't see the problem in the first place. Our vision wouldn't even be able to catch the problem, because if there's no solution, it doesn't show up. Which is like, wait, what? And he has diagrams. A does not lead to B, which then leads to C. No, A and B and C are in a continuum cycle like this, and they're all part of the same thing. And I'm like, what? So there is hope. So there is hope for all the things we struggle with today. There are so many things. Just get onto the news. You'll see there's some challenges. We don't know if we're going to blow the planet up or not. We don't know if it's too hot. Everybody's just going to melt and die. Or they're just going to take away things that we used to have, like freedom, and they're just going to take it. And then this other thing, that we could start getting freaked out and believe that that's true. But then all we have to do is just look back in time. Look back in time. The way the long arc of justice, the long arc of time tends toward justice, but it's because built into the problem is the solution. When we look back, I know that I don't really like looking back that far. Someone said, hey, do you want to do a reenactment of the Civil War? I was like, no. Why would I? So you could put me in a head rag and call me Kizzy? That don't work. No. So I'm not that happy looking back too long, but I do look back long enough to say, yeah, we came out okay. We came out okay. There were people who rose up, who said, what is mine to do? And they did it. And then love wins. Remember that part. Remember Tamara's meditation. You can look back in your life and say, ooh, I was worried, but I shouldn't have been. I've always been taken care of. Anytime you worry about something that could happen, just remember you've been okay. You've always been okay. So life is good. Life is love. And the only thing that can pull us away from realizing that is if we believe the lie about separation. Because once we believe that, then the fear gets in, and we are worried now that maybe it's not okay, and maybe we're doomed, and maybe the divine meant for me to, no, stop it. And back to David Hawkins' book, when we do allow ourselves to be pulled down into some of the negative vibrational, you know what it feels like. Don't argue, oh, that old woo-woo stuff, there's no such thing as vibes. Oh, please. We've done studies. By we, it's the royal we. I didn't do nary a study, but studies have been done where you sit a person in a cafeteria and have someone else stare at them. Within seconds, that person will turn around and try to see who's looking. We know we are connected. There are vibrations. Another fun thing to do, and by fun, I mean it. You could have someone leave a room and the group of people in the room purposely hold positive thoughts or negative thoughts. And the minute that person walks back into the room, they know which one you're holding. positive or negative. This one, you should do it with people who are on a spiritual path, because otherwise it's just mean. Just hold negative thoughts about this person. And then when they come in the room, they're going to feel bad. That seems like bullying. So be careful. I mean, just make sure everybody's in agreement that we're going to do an experiment with energy, because this is real. And let's think about on my journey of talking here, let's think about these bullies. When we are in the midst of being bullied, first of all, I say, God bless you. And like in my heart, if I'm watching somebody being bullied on a video or something, I'm like, God bless these people, because it just gives me angst. And if you are in the middle of it, to be in a feeling of forgiveness in the moment, that's the hardest thing. When Jesus said, if someone smacks you on the cheek, turn the cheek. That's the least thing we want to do. We want to come back with a retort or something nasty. And I know which one will stick with me longer. If I say something nasty out loud to another person because I perceive them to have slighted me, it stays with me longer, and then I have to go make it right. I'd rather make up a story about them that doesn't even have to be true. Use this as a tool if you want to, but what works for me is I decide that they've had a tragedy happen in their lives just a second ago, and they're in pain. And then what I don't want to do is continue their pain. And so I'm not going to dig the knife in. That's what I imagine. And that way I could at least treat them well enough so I could get away and do my own healing. But yeah, that one's tricky. But making up a story, we've been doing this forever. You know how I know? All right. Does everybody understand constellations in the sky? Have you heard about Taurus and Sagittarius and the bear, the Little Dipper, the Big Dipper? All right, raise your hand if you're trying to figure out how they get a bear out of that. What? Where's Sirius, the dog. I don't see a dog. Do you understand that the lights that we're seeing in the sky are millions of light years away? Those planets are probably not there anymore. Those galaxies are probably gone. We're looking at the whispers of the light that used to be emitted by them. And then standing here on the earth looking at the sky, we made up a story. We connected certain brighter dots than other dots and then decided what it would be, and we taught each other what they are. And there's nothing independently wrong with that. I don't care either way. It's kind of fun. But I have to understand this. Everything I've been learning is like that. Every time someone teaches me through when I was a little kid, oh, be careful. You don't want to, don't watch. You watch this, watch that. Don't. Every time it's teaching me how to see the world and giving me a story. So if we're telling stories, why don't I tell myself a story that will benefit me? Because in the end, I get to see the world the way I tell myself the world is. I am telling myself stories. Therefore, why don't I tell myself a story that lifts me up? Why wouldn't I, if it's all stories? And if I know truth when I hear it, and I know non-truth when I hear it, some stuff just doesn't feel right. And then my job is not to change the source of the not so true, but just to be like, okay, all right. Like, it's not my job to decide your truth. It's my job to articulate my truth as I understand it today. And if you pick up something from it, if it also rings true, sounds true to you, this is why we're in community. We grow with each other. It is not indoctrination. And this is the journey we're on. And what journey? Back full circle, we're on the journey to learn more about ourselves, to learn more about our connection to the divine, so that we can clear out any misjudgments about ourselves, any fear, any separation. We could start to up level our energy and bring that love into that room, bring that love into that relationship. Share that love with that other because that's not other. That's not other, that's us. So with that, I hope that something in there resonated with you. And let's look, it is already time. Let's go look and see if there are any prayer requests. Yes, clarity, vibrant health. Tamara reminded me who it was. And enlightenment. Let's go within. I know that there's only one divine spirit, one divine energy moving in, through, and as each and every one of us. That is God. That is Goddess. That is the divine, pure source of all that is. For the creator and the created are not separate. It's not a one and done. Creator is creating as, in, and through each and every one of us. We shall never be separate from our source, because that is our source. That's who we are. That's how we are. And so in this understanding of oneness and no separation, I know that this presence already has in it the answer to any question that arises. Any issue that we notice, within that issue is the answer. For it could not be otherwise. In this knowingness of all answers being right here, right now, present, right as we are, I speak my word for Layla, that there is vibrant health and energy moving in, through, and as Layla, that she just glows with that divine spark that ever becomes brighter as more and more is revealed and unfolded in, through, and as Layla. I speak my word for Renee, that there is clarity on her next steps, that she receives the perfect golden nuggets of what to do next right in front of her, so clear that it's obvious to Renee that she is perfectly on her path for higher good. I speak my word for Mafi, that there is enlightenment. She has continued enlightenment in her community, that her learning community is building upon the knowledge that each brings, that there is respect, there is love, and there is honoring and cherishing of each other. Everyone operates with the highest good in mind, and it is all unfolding perfectly. Anyone who has a prayer request that has not been spoken, I speak my word right here, right now, that within each and every one of us, there is the answer right here, right now, and that answer is revealing itself. The next step's revealing itself, the divine path opening up with clear arrows pointing this way, and we move with clarity. I'm so grateful to know this truth about each and every one of us. We are a loving, so special community, and I just know all is well. So I rest, I let it be, I let it go, and so it is. Amen. Ashe. And it is time for Leah to bless us with her music.
Thank you for the blessing, Shar. I want to invite everyone to sing the refrain of this song with me. It goes, I choose this day. I choose this day. I choose this day. I choose this day to be one with love. I choose this day. I choose this day. I choose this day. I choose this day to be one with, one more time. I choose this day. I choose this day. I choose this day. I choose this day to be one with love. I choose this day to breathe freedom and laughter. I choose this day to feel more than enough. Not yesterday and not any day after. I choose this day to be one with love. I choose this day. I choose this day. I choose this day to breathe freedom and laughter. Choose this day to feel more than enough. Not yesterday and not any day after. Choose this day to be one with love. I choose this day. I choose this day. I choose this day. I choose this day to be one with love. I choose this day. I choose this day. I choose this day. I choose this day to be one with love. I choose this day to be one with love. I choose this day to be one with love.
Oh my gosh, that was a great song to end that. Thank you so much, Charlene. Oh, what a great day. Oh, such a powerful message. Love wins. Now is the time to bless the donations that are shared today. At CSL Leesburg, we believe in the law of circulation, so we are a tithing community. The donations that are shared bless our center and also bless the organizations that we support, our home organization, and organizations that support our vision of helping to create a world that works for everyone. There are so many ways to give. Odds are you found one already, but if you haven't, take a look at our screen. And no matter how you are giving, just place it over your heart and join me in the blessing of our gifts. The presence of spirit within me blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. Therefore, I am a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to the day in which I live. And so it is. All right, announcements. So Dream Study is back. Are we having Dream Study this coming Saturday?
No, next. We just,
All right.
sorry.
So it's going to be every other week. So mark your calendar, not this coming weekend, but the following. So like the second week in October, I'm guessing. All right. And Charlene and her friends meet and they interpret each other's dreams. Sometimes it's very helpful to get your friends involved. Sometimes we have our dreams and we're like, what was that all about? Right? That was crazy. But our consciousness is always sending us messages. And sometimes we get very powerful, strong messages in our dreams, but we just need a little help interpreting it. So join Charlene and her friends, not next Saturday, but the following. And in October, I'm going to throw in one more announcement. We're going to be having New Member Sunday. We're going to be having annual meetings, lots of fun things coming up in October and November. All right, it is now time for our closing affirmation. But before we do that, I want to remind you, please hang out if you can. After our service, we do something called Pearls. I filled up my notebook. I got 2 pages of notes from the talk today. So we share the insight, what resonated with us, what further, did we take? And we went off on this thought that Charlene planted a seed and we're like, wow, there's even more to this. So if you'd like to hang out with us and talk with us, you can join us on the link, or you can just stay right where you are and we'll do our share our pearls. If you have to go, please know that we send you off with our love and blessings. But first, we're going to do our closing affirmation. Are you ready? All right. Can they turn on their mics, Charlene?
They can unmute themselves.
Good, because guys, I love them. It's me and my furry little critters. So I love hearing your voices. So here we go. You ready? Repeat after me. I am love.
I am
love.
Woo! Such a smile on my face. All right. Point to somebody in the room with you, or maybe a little furry creature if one is around, or just send it out because like Charlene's all connected. So you ready? Let's send some love out into the universe or to people near you. You are love.
You are love.
You are love.
All right. Put your hands in the air and join me in It's All Love.
All love.
Is all love. Love wins in the end. So stay with us if you can. Join us for pearls. And if you can't, just know that we send you off with our blessings and with our love. See ya.